I've coached legendary music artists Dan Reynolds, lead singer of Imagine Dragons, and Benson Boone, touring performers like Drake Livingston and actress Susie Aberman, along with lawyers, founders, executives, all operating under constant pressure. My work is fitness and performance focused, helping people build lots of muscle, burn fat, improve energy, and handle stress through training, nutrition, recovery, and physiology. I've helped people burn over thousands of pounds of fat, build hundreds of pounds of muscle, rebuild their bodies, and perform at a super high level without burning out or, more importantly, living in the gym. And almost every single one of them comes to me saying the same thing. I'm doing everything right, so why the hell do I feel so exhausted all the time? There was a period while I was growing my online wellness business where this actually became my normal. My days were jam-packed, whether it was client calls, programming, content, having to make decisions, and I would get so focused on work that I would generally forget to eat. Not intentionally, not dieting, just hours would pass by without any hunger signals because I was just so dialed in. And by the end of the day, I not only was I completely exhausted, but I was so completely wired, not energized, just very overstimulated. And at night, I remember lying in bed, completely exhausted, but unable to shut down. And my brain would just replay the day, run through what I needed to do tomorrow. Think about what would break or go wrong. And that's when I realized something extremely important. It wasn't necessarily a discipline issue or problem. It was actually more stress and recovery related. That was the problem. Now, most high performers, I would say, assume energy comes from effort. Meaning, when energy drops, our logical thought is to just push harder, which only gets you so far. What actually happens is this: blood sugar can become unstable. Stress hormones like cortisol can stay elevated chronically, and the nervous system never really fully downshifts, which then makes recovery become incomplete. And energy, really does not disappear overnight. It erodes across days and weeks. So even when you're doing everything right. Now, this is the shift that changed everything for me. I stopped treating low energy like a personal failure, because what happens? We get to the end of the day, we think about how exhausted we are, and then we start to make that a self-judgment. That doesn't help. And I started treating it like feedback. Started realizing, okay, my body is not broken, it's just overloaded. It wasn't weak. I was adapting to constant stress without ever fully recovering from it. And once I saw that clearly, the solution actually wasn't more discipline. It was changing how stress and recovery showed up in my actual week. So here's what constant adaptation to stress without recovery looks like in real life. So let's say Monday, you're pushing hard and you're actually feeling okay. Maybe you have the Mondays, but it's not holding you back. Tuesday sleep is a little lighter because of how hard you've been pushing on Monday. And then Wednesday's training maybe feels a little flat. Thursday, now maybe you've cranked up the external stimulation with more caffeine or something else. And then Friday, you're feeling it. You're irritable, you're drained, your body's beat up. And then Sunday, you dread the upcoming week. Nothing catastrophic happened. The system just never really reset. And that, done week after week after week, is how energy can disappear. Now, energy returns when stress and recovery is finally balanced out. And here's what that looks like in practice. So there's 4 energy anchors. The first one is nutrition for blood sugar stability. Energy stability starts with blood sugar. That means when blood sugar is going up and down like a roller coaster throughout the day, it can cause energy to fade or become unstable. So I'm sure you've heard a lot of this before, but it is very true. Load up on protein. Make sure you're hitting your protein, especially earlier in the day, but also enough fiber to help stabilize the blood sugar and slow the digestive process down. Fiber supports, which maybe you've been hearing a lot of, which is our GLP signaling in the gut. That's why a lot of these GLP medications are so effective at keeping you full, is because when those sensors are stimulated, they help regulate appetite, insulin response, and energy. When blood sugar stops spiking and crashing, your focus can improve and energy becomes a hell of a lot more predictable. And this is often the first thing that people need within days. Now, number 2, training for resilience. Proper training, exercise should increase your ability to handle stress, not drain you to the point where the thought of stress makes you want to pull your hair out. Smart training improves the mitochondrial function, meaning your cells get better at producing energy. In practice, this really just means fewer sessions that you're grinding so hard that your body is getting so beat up that you just can't recover. Many times with high performers, we just need to train smarter and cut back a little bit on the stress being applied so your body has a chance to recover. So you have better recovery between workouts, and that training leaves you sharper. Again, not wrecked. If training is constantly depleting you, it isn't building your fitness. It's just making you more fragile. Now, number 3, stress downshifting, or it's just another way to say better stress management. Most high performers, we never really truly turn off. And let's be real, doom scrolling is not recovery. Distraction is not recovery. Downshifting needs to be intentional. So for me and my clients, this is what that looks like. Very little or no stimulation at nighttime. No screens before bed. I always say 60 minutes. If that seems impossible right now, just start with 30 and build up to 60. Something to stimulate your parasympathetic nervous system. So just laying down and relaxing, stretching, listening to good music, reading, breathing, you name it. That tells the parasympathetic nervous system to turn on and that it's okay and safe to rest and digest. And without this, your stress hormones can never really turn off. The cortisol can never really come back down to normal. And long term, in extreme scenarios, you're looking at adrenal fatigue, and now we're not even using cortisol properly or at all. And number 4, to tie this all together, and in my opinion, if number 4 isn't happening, the anchors before this aren't even going to work, and that's sleep quality and sleep duration. Sleep is not just hours in the bed. It's consistency, it's depth, it's the ability to actually shut off. When sleep quality improves, energy comes back so much faster. Sometimes you notice it within a day. And that's why I really have, not only myself, but the clients that I work with, make sleep just as much a priority as everything else, if not more. And how I would recommend starting that is just by being consistent. Have the same sleep time and wake time as much as possible, even on the weekends. Now, a little bonus anchor. This can be effective when all the other anchors are being implemented, and that's supplementation. Supplements can very much support the entire system of energy and sleep as well. So you go to any influencer or any wellness entity, they're talking about magnesium. But it can really help support, the nervous system in recovery. Electrolytes, it's another good call out for hydration and cellular energy. And any really targeted tools to help support stress and sleep when needed. They amplify good habits. They don't replace them. Again, supplementation is literally in the name. It supplements what we're already doing well, not replacing what we need to do. Now, here's what I would say most people miss. Chronic stress does not come down from doing too much, because if you're a high performer and the thought of doing less probably irritates you, make you overwhelmed and anxious. It comes from adapting to stress over and over without ever fully recovering. Your body raises cortisol and adrenaline to meet the demand, and that works short term. But when stress is constant and recovery is incomplete, adaptation becomes your baseline. You stop sleeping deeply, you stop feeling energized, you stop recovering fully. Energy disappears, not because you're weak, but because your system just never gets permission to reset. And once recovery catches up to stress, energy returns. Discipline feels lighter and almost easier. Focus sharpens and performance becomes sustainable again. If this made you potentially realize some areas that you could improve upon, or maybe even some things that you're doing well in, then subscribe for more. This channel is about building strength, clarity, and energy that actually lasts. No burnout, no gimmick, just systems that work in real life.